Okay. All right. You just let me know if this works or not. I was feeling saucy last night. Not really saucy. Just trying to do different things. Okay. FX's lush and sweeping historical drama Shōgun tells the story of John Blackthorne, an English pilot who washes up on the shores of Japan, and his encounters with Yoshi Toranaga, a powerful daimyo at odds with his political rivals, and Lady Mariko, a noble woman with invaluable skills and a dishonorable past. Set against the complex political landscape of the 1600s in feudal Japan, Shōgun has war, the navigating of alliances, rivalries, violence, vast cultural differences, and forbidden love. Join us today on Unhinged as we discuss the 2024 FX series Shōgun. Cue the intro music.
Hello, and welcome to Once More Unhinged.
Unhinged.
This is our weekly chat show where we get together and discuss whatever we're reading, watching, listening to, engaging with this week, what we're into.
What we're into, yeah.
I'm Ryan something.
I'm Jen Katz.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi.
What's up,
What's
Doc?
up? It's been a day.
Yeah?
It's been a long day, but a fun day.
I like your shirt.
Thank you. I got this at Urban Outfitters.
Yeah?
Jeez. Years ago.
Anyway, it says fight like a girl.
It says fight like
it's
a girl.
Torn and ripped.
Yep. I love this
cool.
shirt.
I like it.
It's cool.
Bad.
I like it. When I was getting dressed, we recorded an episode of our rewatch podcast, which comes out every Friday. We're covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 2. If you haven't listened, go catch up. And it gave me like Buffy vibes, you know, fight like a girl. I love it.
Yeah, and kind of like rip like a vampire.
Yeah, like
and clawed it.
Maybe Spike clawed it.
A werewolf.
Spike.
As we saw in, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Spike totally ripped your shirt.
Hopefully my bodice.
Your bodice. Start calling him old Ripper.
Oh, whoa, yeah. Okay, so we're not here to discuss Buffy, though.
We're not. We're here to discuss the Olympics today.
Fucking A. I wanted to discuss the Olympics, but somebody hasn't been watching.
Listen, I watched Shōgun, so we could discuss Shōgun.
I know.
So
and you
we're
finished it
discussing
before
and
I did.
I finished it way before you did. So
yeah. So
don't challenge me. I will accept.
Ryan Sama. So yeah, we're talking about Shōgun, which
we were late to the party.
We were late to the party. This show came out in February, and I remember seeing previews for it. My mother-in-law was like, "Oh, have you seen? There's a new Shōgun coming out. Did you see the original with Richard Chamberlain?" And I said, "No, madam, I have not."
Yes, and two of our friends took a trip to Japan.
They did,
and when they returned, Shōgun came out. They started watching it, and they were just enamored with it.
It's a beautiful show.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
Visually stunning.
So we started watching it in July. Like my husband and I watched it, and immediately we're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
It's just beautifully shot. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And a lot of people I know had seen it. My brother-in-law had watched it. Like you mentioned, two of our friends who had just gotten back from a trip from Japan watched it. People were like, "This show's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing."
Yeah.
Finally got to it. And guess what? It is amazing.
Yeah, that's
Brilliant.
it. The series really boasts stunning cinematography, which captures the beauty and the brutality of the feudal Japan of this time period.
Yes, in the 1600s.
Yeah.
And the costumes also, like going on with the cinematography.
Oh, yeah.
I love a period piece.
Love a period piece.
Love a historical drama.
Yes.
And this checked all the boxes for me on just the attention to detail, the writing. And
it's good source material.
And one of the reasons why we're talking about the show now, not only we watched it later, but it's been nominated for a lot of awards.
It has. Hiroyuki is nominated for his portrayal of Lord Toranaga.
Yes. Hiroyuki Sanada is a very well-known actor in Japan.
Okay.
And he's brilliant.
Yeah. A very powerful, nuanced performance from this character.
Yes.
You expect so much from a character that's got so much power and influence, and yet he's so reserved.
He's so stoic.
It's so stoic. It's an incredible performance by an incredible actor. Cosmo Jarvis, who plays the protagonist, John Blackthorn.
He was my least favorite performance, I think.
He was my least favorite performance.
Yeah.
And of course, I think our favorite, which was Anasawi, for her role as Lady Mariko, was, her performance brings this emotional and complexity to the series. It's just this, I can't really describe it. You got to go watch it yourself. She's incredible. I hope
incredible.
She wins the Emmy. And that's tough for me to say because there's other shows that are nominated that, like Hacks and other performers that I'd like to see win.
It's great when you see people who, and this is not, I'm not trying to be shady, but there are sometimes when award seasons come around, you're like, why?
Not this year.
Not this year.
I listened to the Emmy show that Pop Culture Happy Hour did this week.
Shout out. I love that show.
We love them. And as they were breaking down the Emmy nominations, and especially of shows that they've seen and reviewed, I was blown away by how much good television we had over the past year.
It has been a good year for TV.
Good, because they were talking about The Bear from not the current season of The Bear,
season 2,
but the season before this, where they had the big dinner scene with Jamie Lee Curtis and so many special guest stars that were appearing. This is also the Emmy nominations for Only Murders in the Building with Meryl Streep, where both Steve Martin and Martin Short are nominated for their performances.
Yeah.
And anyway, Only Murders in the Building, Fargo, the season that I watched that I've encouraged you to watch, that has John Hamm and others in it, amazing performances. And then we have Shōgun, and we've got Hacks with Gene Smart. There's so many great performances of television series this year, and you're seeing amazing performances and great writing.
Right. And you're seeing the quality of certain aspects of media has gotten better, because when things were finally opening back up and filming, you could tell when people were having to film in a quarantine type of set and environment, the sets look like sets. It's not as lived in. There's not as much like visceral things happening, because they were trying to keep everybody safe, and we understand and respect that. So seeing Shōgun, Shōgun is a brutal show. We start off with Cosmo Jarvis as John Blackthorn. He's
moored. His ship is moored with his crew.
Yeah, in Japan. And the crew gets captured, and one of his crew members gets boiled alive, and they show it in front of Yabushigi. Disclaimer, I'm trying really hard to pronounce these names in Japanese properly. I don't speak Japanese. I'm doing my best. So I'm really sorry. And if you're cringing, I understand. So Yabushigi is he's one of Toranaga's lords. He's got his fief, and he boils one of the guys alive. When they show the soldiers being shot with cannon and just exploding, the samurai.
Yeah, the cannons were tough.
Whew, it's brutal.
It's brutal, but again, the way that it's filmed, the way that it's shot, the technology that they use really takes you into this brutal environment. You feel like you're there. The makeup's great. The costuming is great.
The hair.
All of it.
It's great.
Chef's kiss. Well done.
Yeah. So we see, John Blackthorn, who's a Protestant. He and his crew, they're trying to get to Japan because the Portuguese are the only Europeans with a foothold there. They're making some money.
Right.
So on top of just the Westerner versus Easterner kind of vibe with their cultural differences, we have the Protestant and the Catholics.
Right.
And he hates the Catholics. The Catholics think he's a heretic.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's interesting.
It's a lot of different dynamics.
There's so many different dynamics, and he's trying to point that out to this feudal, Japanese lord. Like, hey, there's more going on here than what you think. You guys are fighting against one another, but you're also being taken advantage of by
the Portuguese.
And my country and my queen would like to help you, at the same time, they're trying to one up the Portuguese government. So there's so many dynamics that are
and layers of it. It's great. I really like I said, Cosmo Jarvis, I think he's a good actor. He's fine. His performance was just not my favorite.
Yeah.
There was something about, and it might be the character. I did not like Blackthorn. And he would be typical of a Westerner and a Eastern culture. He would, and maybe that's why I didn't like him as much, because when he's on screen, you feel uncomfortable because he's loud, he's dirty, He doesn't respect the Japanese culture. Towards the end, he's learned Japanese. He
after he really gets impacted by what's going on here, his heart breaks and shifts, and you see a different side of him.
Yeah, he proves his loyalty in the episode where there's the earthquake. He helps save Toranaga. Yeah. So he eventually becomes Hatamoto, which is, they can't call him barbarian anymore.
Yeah.
They still call him Anjin, which is like pilot barbarian. So yeah, Blackthorn starts out as a prisoner of Ashido, who's another lord who's having political issues with Toranaga. And then Toranaga bestows the rank of Hatamoto on him. He gets samurai swords. But before Blackthorn can learn Japanese, he has an interpreter. He's appointed an interpreter, and that is Lady Mariko. She, played by Anasawa, as you mentioned earlier, tour de force.
Loved it.
Her facial acting.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
She's so controlled. That's the thing. I was going to say, like, her and Toranaga, they're so controlled.
Yeah.
There are times when she breaks, when she cries, or she has emotion. She gets angry at Blackthorn a few times and loses her cool. And there's a forbidden love between Mariko and Blackthorn.
That develops. Yeah. So, of course, he's assigned his own consort.
Once he becomes Hatamoto.
However, Mariko is assigned to be with him at all times. So he has an interpreter. And I have to say that her character switching in and out of Japanese into English,
which is supposed to be Portuguese in the show.
Yeah. Is just seamless.
Yes.
Her switching, back and forth between both languages without skipping a beat and just turning her head and being able to like respond to him.
Yeah.
Just absolutely incredible. As you said, a tour de force performance from her.
Yeah. So she lives in the house with Fuji, who Fuji is also she's a side character, but is another demonstration of this brutality of feudal Japan. She's in the first episode, her husband dishonors himself by, I guess, losing his temper basically in front of another lord. Yeah. And he asked asked Toranaga for permission to commit seppuku, and which is the Japanese, you commit suicide rather than face dishonor.
Right.
But not only does he have to kill himself, his male line has to end. And Fuji is his wife. They have a son, and Fuji's son has to be killed.
Yeah. And she takes that, hard. It's very hard because they have an infant son.
Yeah.
And it's very tough, but it's feudal Japan. It's all about honor, and it's about kind of obeying. And, this is her role and this is her job. And if this is what is meant to be, then this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's a great honor for her to do this for her house and for her family. And if not, it's a great dishonor. And either
tough.
way, it's she's stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I think the show does a great job at portraying roles of women in this time period without stepping over them.
Yeah.
They actually give voice to these women, to these characters, and shine a spotlight on what was going on. You can even get to the madam
of the tea house.
Of the tea house.
Yeah.
And her character and her role and the women that worked for her, and how women were as much involved in the politics of the time as anyone else, because they heard everything.
They heard everything. They could maneuver.
They could manipulate if they wanted to. And and there's also the caste system. So you have different levels of like the hierarchy of some women are treated as if, they don't exist, while others actually have authority and power because of their bloodline.
Right.
But not necessarily an actual seat at the table until one.
Yeah.
We get the
Ochiba.
queen.
So yeah, we see women in power in this show. We, like you mentioned, we see the Madam of the Tea House. Mariko knows how to fight. She knows how to defend herself. She, love
her backstory.
As a Catholic, she converted to Catholicism. She learned Portuguese. So that's how she's invaluable as an interpreter for Lord Toranaga. Then we also have Ochiba no Kata, who is the mother of the current Taiko. This is where a lot of the political stuff is happening with Toranaga and the other regents. The previous ruler of the Taiko died, leaving a young son. So he created a council of regents, and everybody's jockeying for power.
Yeah.
And it's just so well done. Like you said, if you haven't seen Shōgun, Run, Don't Walk, watch it. I think one of my favorite series of scenes is the penultimate episode. Where Mariko she's
trying to leave.
She's been tasked by Toranaga to go to Osaka to get his wife and his consort out of this castle where they're being held captive by another lord. She's in the castle at Osaka, and Lord Ishido, who's the lord of the castle, has said no, she can't leave. And she's like, I follow my lord's rules and demands, and Lord Toranaga has tasked me with getting these people out. Basically, it's a political maneuver to show that if Lord Ishido won't let them leave, then everyone else there is a hostage.
There's more than meets the eye to what's happening here in these scenes, but the way that it's written, the way that it's performed, of course, we've talked about the set design, the period accurate costumes, and just transports you into this story. It's well done.
It's so well done.
And her performance is so powerful. I'm so glad that you brought it up because it was my favorite.
It's my favorite.
My absolute favorite. And for all these reasons within these sequence of scenes, give her the Emmy.
Please.
She's great.
And these show creators, Rachel Kondo and
Matt, and Justin Marks.
Whatever they do, I want more of it. If you're on Reddit, some people are saying that there are whispers that there will be a Shōgun season 2. I don't think there will be because of the way it ends.
Yeah.
And I don't think there should be.
There doesn't have to be. And that's what
the
Hollywood machine and the industry need to kind of take away from this.
Yeah.
You can do something similar, but it doesn't have to be the same story, and it could be different characters and it could be different actors. And it's branch out, give us more besides repeating the same things over and over. To such a point that you just club it to death and then it becomes terrible by the last season.
That's it. And so I think they should, we're not going to spoil it. Yeah. I think they should leave it as it is. But hey, if you have not seen Shōgun on FX, it's brilliant.
Absolutely.
Do yourself a favor and just watch it.
That's right. Well, Jenny, this is Unhinged.
This is.
So what's Unhinged this week?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked. Unhinged this week, since we couldn't do the Olympics,
right out the door.
My children. Since we didn't do a whole episode on the Olympics, I have been very into the Olympics in my household, which is an interesting thing for me. I haven't always been into the Olympics, but I've got young girls and we've got so many amazing female athletes, and a lot of the commercials and a lot of the advertisement for the Olympics and for female athletes has been so body positive.
Yeah.
And I mean, God, Simone Biles, the GOAT, she is back out of retirement, won the female gymnastics team. They won the gold medal for all around. She's just, been cool. Been very excited.
She's the new gold medal leader, right?
For Correct. The US? Yes. Yeah.
So bravo.
She's amazing. Fellow Texan. We love Simone.
And just a great gal.
So, but one of the best things to come out of the Olympics is pommel horse guy. Our friend Steven Netarosek and Netarosek, excuse me. Steve Netarosek. He's on the men's gymnastics team.
Yeah.
And we were watching it, me and my kids, and they show the other athletes, and they kept kind of cutting to this guy who was on the team. He's just sitting there. He's got his glasses, leaning against the wall, taking a snooze. You're like, this is like your accountant.
Yeah, right.
Like who is this guy? And then the announcer was like that, he has one skill, or not one skill. He's got one job, and it's pommel horse.
His job is pommel horse.
And by the luck of the draw, I don't know how they do the draw in the Olympics, but the pommel horse was the last routine, and he was the last one to go.
Oh man, did he ever go out on a bang?
And he took his glasses off and then is squinting at the pommel horse, and you're like, what the fuck is about to happen?
I'm this guy every morning.
And he killed it. Just killed it. The memes have just been insane.
He did. He destroyed the pommel horse.
His performance.
Yeah, won them the bronze. USA, baby. But it's been really fun to watch the Olympics. But gosh, there's a TikTok
I'll link it in the show notes. And I think NBC did this TikTok. It's somebody that's covering the Olympics. And it's the song is like, it's me and you and me and your friend Steve. Do Steve. And it's just him like,
yeah.
It's great. And it's just,
I'm happy
unhinged
to see it. I'm
and
happy
it's
to
joyful.
see all of these athletes who've worked so hard.
Yeah.
Most of them for much of their lives getting to come together and celebrate. I think there's something so special about the Olympics. It's something that I always look forward to every few years. And I'm really happy to see that everything in Paris, knock on wood, seems to be going well so far.
So far, yeah.
And bravo to the city of Paris and to the country of France for rolling out the red carpet and doing a great job. And congratulations to all of the Olympians from the U.S. as well as across the globe that are giving it their all.
I love it. And I started chuckling because speaking of Unhinged, we won't get into it. We don't have time. The opening ceremony.
Oh, hey.
That was Unhinged.
I'm in on the opening ceremony.
We can't. Unhinged. All of it. Just the Lady Gaga. Celine Dion nailed it. Lady Gaga of it all. Bienvenue. Or whatever she's.
It was an opening ceremony unlike any other.
I would agree.
I can say that.
I can agree to that.
Yeah.
But it was unhinged.
Yeah. Well, parts of it I can agree were.
Mon ami.
We may not agree on which parts were unhinged versus unhinged. Or unhinged versus not unhinged.
Huh. Okay.
Anyway.
Go watch Shōgun and
have a threesome if you want to.
Sure. No one's stopping you.
No one's stopping you except for the Olympic
listen, I
don't critics. The Olympic opener critics.
Why does a 4-year-old need to see that? How do you explain that? I'm curious.
How do you think the country of France explains that to
I want to know because I don't know. Like, you can explain like people kissing like each other, but now I have to be like, oh yeah, now some people kiss all in a group.
Yeah.
That just seems like a step too far for me, but maybe not. Maybe I'm not being progressive.
But that's true. Some people do kiss in a group.
Some people do.
So why hide that?
I don't know. I guess
because it's a construct and we're used to it.
Well, see, that's where I kind of push back because it is also a construct.
Patriarchy.
But people are also allowed to like.
Absolutely.
You know, doesn't mean I'm buying into a construct.
It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 4, 5, 6.
It can be. I'm just saying, yeah, I think maybe that part of it is the binary that it's
I think people don't know how to talk about it because I think folks are just so conditioned to.
That I would agree with.
Certain.
This is why I think why I had the issue with it is because they made it more about them having sex and not more so like, oh, we're all together and we're just hanging out. That's where it is because you can tell yes.
They just went to the room and closed the door.
Oh, huh.
2 doors down, laughing and drinking and having a party.
That's it. That's okay.
2 doors down.
I've unpacked it.
People not around.
I've unpacked it because you just show people hanging out and like if somebody you know what a chaste loving kiss is and then you know what a like hey kind of kiss is. That was a if I've ever seen one.
Good for them,
but maybe not on prime time where you have children who ask a lot of questions. Okay. I don't want to have that discussion yet. Soon enough, it's coming.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, bye.